What's up, my conspiracy lyricists? It's El Lobo Mestizo here with a song that talks about the mysterious Devil's Train. A song by the Lab Rats released in 2006 in the album Half Full Ashtrays, Half Empty Glasses. We see the duo give us a dark song about a grandpa falling into insanity and his grandson falling in after him. On to the lyrics. Diving right into the song, the first verse gives us a background of our main characters and where his story begins, but not from his perspective, rather his grandpa. His grandpa was an old school blue collar that worked heavy shifts at the train yard, and he did it all for his family. Just a normal guy with normal goals of feeding his family. But one day his inner thoughts start getting the best of him, and he starts to hear the disturbing voice saying, After hearing the voices, the man starts to lose his mind and disappears. In the panic of all this, the wife goes to church not knowing what to do. And the grandpa does come back to the house in a state which would put him in a place of insanity. He has no money, his shirt is on backwards, and before he left forever, he told his daughter to tell her son never to go to the train tracks alone. In the chorus, we have the lyrics, sitting on the train tracks waiting for the night train, looking down the road, ain't never gonna go back. Listen for the whistle of the wind and raindrops, who's gonna ride the devil's train tonight? In this lyric, I think it's the darker spirits talking in the chorus, since they sound just like the follow me in the first verse. And this is kind of them still luring in their victims, telling them to listen to the raindrops, follow the devil's train, and you will be blessed. Our second verse has our main character of the story tell us how he grew up. His mother would tell him fables and stories, but without the lesson to keep it interesting. And instead of learning, he became rebellious. He says the line, "When I was a teen, I pretended my demons were friends," which I think this means he started messing around with things he knew were bad, but he did it anyways, like drugs. And after he took drugs, he started to see stuff that he didn't want to see, like his dead grandpa in the horrifying image of The Walking Dead. And after he sees this occurrence, he jumps out the window and then he starts to hear voices in his head and goes towards the one place his mother told him not to go, the train tracks. In the third verse, the man is starting to lose his mind. He tries to get rid of the drugs by walking it off, but then he starts to see horrible things like his grandpa's carcass talking to him. He then appears in a world that seems normal but is very off, and he's desperate for something that he knows. He meets up with a dark figure and has a conversation with him. The man is obviously creeped out by the figure, but the figure doesn't stop bothering him. And after a while, the dark figure tells the man that he wants to be left alone because he is still in shock after seeing his dead grandpa. The figure tells him that he can scare him worse than anything he's ever seen, but he would rather help him. For the small price of his soul, he can have anything he wants. All he has to do is go jump on the devil's train. So most times on this channel, we analyze songs with lyrics that have more of a deeper meaning to each verse. But this rap song just gives us kind of a story more than lyrics with deeper meaning. But sometimes the deeper meaning is hidden in those plain lyrics. This song, I think, is talking about schizophrenia and delusion, but also represents giving into your deepest desire. Now, the story starts out with an old grandpa who lives seemingly a normal life until he starts hearing voices. After hearing that, he goes insane and becomes a gambler, never seeing his family again. After a while, his grandson inherits the same schizophrenia and delusion, highlighted in the line, "Suddenly, I discover little voices mumbling up in my head." He is hearing the same voices in his grandpa's head, but his delusion and schizophrenia is caused by the drugs. And I feel like he had always been like that, but the acid he took is what caused him to go mad. I would like to think that this song is about the actual devil, but like the song says, I became friends with my demons. Or maybe the devil saw both the grandpa and the grandson's weaknesses of delusion and took advantage of it. Either way, this song is about what can happen when you give in to your deepest desire. Well, not your deepest desire, but your deepest desire of stuff that can hurt you. Also, I like how they use trains in this song. Trains aren't like cars or planes where they can move in different directions. Once a train is on the track, it stays on that track. And maybe getting on the devil's train is a metaphor for how when you go down a dark path, you can never get back on track. And each one of the characters has an addiction that they can't get off track of. The grandpa being gambling, and the son being addiction. Now that's my theory. Now let's look at yours. Alright, so 2 for 2 Pegpara is the only person to submit their theory. Make sure you guys submit your theories because I like to listen to them. You guys always put your theories after the video is uploaded. Can we put them before? Thank you. Pegpara. So this song explains the story of his grandson. It had a grandfather he talks about. The grandfather was an addicted person who used to gamble, correct, because of his sickness of addiction, and became insane, and after his death still traumatized his family in a way. Oh shit, there's more here. Alright, my bad. Anyways, I would like to say that the grandson, I think, who is also telling the story, the song, has followed his grandfather's step, yes. And some people say that this person is like the devil, but I like to think more like it's an inner voice who encourages him to gamble more and more, yes. And in the end, the grandson becomes like his grandfather. Good job. That's amazing. Okay. Also, I like to say that devil's train has a metaphor meaning, which I like to believe that the train... yes! Yes, okay, let me read this, because this is really good. Which I like to believe that the tracks of the train symbolize a road which there is only one way to go. The reason that the grandson became like the grandpa is because he followed the tracks of the train. So in other words, the step and action his grandfather, and because it talks about addiction, which is a negative word, we can say that negative equals bad equals the devil. That's why it's called the devil's train, because it's a bad road. It's not a road, it's a track, but you are 100% correct. That gives you 2 Lobo points, all right? Keep those in mind. You already have 5 from the last theory. All right? Good job, Pegpara. Yes. Yes, this song is... Yes, the devil's train is a metaphor for that little voice in our head that causes us to keep going. Now, obviously, the little voice in our head is you. Before people say, oh, I have a little voice in my head that tells me what to do. No, the voice is you. It's like when you're on a diet and you see a bag of chips and you know you're not supposed to eat them, but you eat it anyways. That's what the song is about. It's about you giving in to something that you know is bad for you. Alright, that's it for the video. I hope you liked it. Make sure you leave your song suggestions in the comments. Make sure you leave your theories in the comments of the other videos. And I will see you next time. Adios.